All right, chat. It's time to call arguably one of the best European players in the world, Joshua Schmidt.
Hello, hello.
How you doing, man?
How are you? I'm good, I'm good.
I'm good, my dude. How you feeling about this? You excited? You think you're gonna clap some cheeks?
Kind of, yeah, I hope. I hope.
It's the deck you're most known for. I mean, 2 YCSs back-to-back in the finals with it.
I've been a little rusty probably, because it's been a while since I've touched any
played
cards.
for a hot minute, huh?
Yeah.
The chat have already made their predictions, as they do every single time. And when they make their predictions, effectively what happens is they're betting on what score they think you will get. And if they're right, they earn channel points. If they're wrong, they do not. Because you are arguably one of the greatest players in Europe, or to have ever even touched the game, because you have a lot of tops. You've been doing consistently well when you were playing. We've decided to throw you a little bit of a challenge, the same challenge we threw Jesse Cotton, which is also a player of a very high caliber. We threw him the challenge of getting 7 out of 8 or more in order for the chat to earn their channel points. So today you are offered the exact same challenge. If you score 7 or 8 out of 8, the channel points will be awarded to the believers, and the doubters will be sad, but the doubters are here in hefty numbers this time because it is quite the tall challenge. But how confident are you feeling that you know your Paleozoic frog rulings?
If it's anything that's been relevant in Yu-Gi-Oh! Pretty much ever, I'm pretty confident. But if you've dug up something that's like super specific and has never been relevant, then I'm not sure. I've never like studied the rule book, right? It's always been like when it's ever been relevant, I've probably come across it, right?
I mean, you have played a lot, so I figure if it's ever been relevant, you've probably encountered it. So are you ready to get into question number 1?
Yeah, man, let's get going.
Your opponent controls a Bean Soldier, very frightening monster. You have a Paleozoic Pikaia in your hand, and you activate a Raigeki break that you have set. Here, you're going to be discarding the Pikaia for cost. After the Raigeki break has been activated, are you legally allowed to activate the effect of Pikaia as Chain Link 2, provided your opponent does not respond to your Raigeki break?
So surprisingly, I've not come across Bean Soldier yet.
Oh, crazy. That's wild.
Yeah, weird, right? But yeah, you can chain Pikaia here.
For what reason?
I just know that you can because he's discarded for cost, so he's engraved when his requirement is met.
Well, yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
The main reason, and most people don't even actually realize this, none of the Paleozoic cards actually discard anything for cost. Pikaia doesn't discard for cost. Yeah. None of them really discard for cost, and specifically because of this exact interaction. So currently 1 for 1. You're doing good so far. Let's move on to question number 2. Are you ready?
Yep.
You control Cat Shark, Totally Awesome, and Mistar Boy, and your opponent has a big, beefy defender that is too big for any of your monsters to out. So here, you can activate the effect of Cat Shark, targeting your Totally Awesome. So if you use the effect of Cat Shark, targeting your Totally Awesome while you control Mistar Boy, on resolution of the effect of Cat Shark, what is the attack stat of Totally Awesome at?
So it's 54. I would lean towards 54.
54 for what reason?
So it definitely puts it at 54 at first. The question is, does the Mistar Boy reapply? Which I think the answer is no, because I think if you apply like a lingering thing to an attack stat, I think the continuous ones that were applied before don't apply again. I think the first time this ever came up in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like Gale, I think. I'm not sure if that's
Gale does the exact same thing. It says it sets the attack to half the current attack, yes.
Oh no, it's not 54, because it says double is original. The original is still 22, so it becomes 44.
And would the Mistar Boy reapply after it becomes 44 here?
I don't think so.
Not sure?
Pretty sure. Like attack and defense modifiers were not the most relevant thing most of the time, but I'm pretty sure this is 44.
44. Can I get a final answer, Joshua?
Yes, final answer.
All right. Well, how confident are you on this one?
60-40.
60-40. Well, you are correct. The attack of the Totally Awesome will be 44, and the reason for this is because when you have a continuous modifier that increases or decreases attack, and after that you apply a lingering modifier that sets the attack value to a specific value. So here, it sets the attack to double whatever the original attack is. It'll set it to 44, and it will stop applying the Mistar Boy, so it will not reapply the effect of the Mistar Boy onto the Totally Awesome after that. The Cat Shark simply freezes the value, to 4,400 attack. Congratulations, 2 for 2 so far, and you managed to dodge one of the tougher ones that we had on this quiz. You're certainly showing up so far, and we're gonna get into question number 3. Ready to go?
Although that was close because I almost misread catcher.
Yeah. When you said 54, I was like, damn, he didn't read the word original.
Yeah, because that's not even, like, if you think about it, it's not even a real option.
So for question number 3, you control 2 dupe frogs and a totally awesome, and your opponent controls Blackwing Full Armor Master. Are you familiar with Full Armor Master's text?
I'm looking at it for the first time, but I'm guessing it's only the first line here.
All you really need to know is that it's unaffected by other cards' effects. In this situation, while you control 2 dupe frogs and a totally awesome, which of those monsters can your opponent legally attack with their Blackwing Full Armor Master if they can attack any of them at all?
Okay, I'm just gonna need Dupe Frog here, I think.
Yes, sir.
The question here is, does Dupe Frog apply, like, is that restriction applying to the player or does it affect the monsters?
Ooh, okay. You've spotted where the question is. That's good.
So the truth is, I don't know. I would have to make like an educated guess.
Okay. Okay. Sometimes you have to make educated guesses in judging and in playing. So sometimes that's the way to go. So what do you think?
Well, in judging, I'd hope you would have to know this, but
most judges probably wouldn't know this, to be fair. This is one of those rougher ones that I assume most judges wouldn't know off the top of their heads. Where are you leaning towards right now? Are you leaning more towards one answer or the other? Or are you really 50-50 on this?
I'm leaning towards it can attack whatever it wants to, because Dupe Frog says monsters your opponent controls cannot target monsters for attacks. However, I don't have a comparison in my head where a monster would say your opponent cannot attack. I think all of those cards say your opponent's monsters or whatever.
Tough one, isn't it?
I think I'm just gonna go with my gut here and say that he can attack whatever he wants to, but this is very close to a 50-50 for me.
So can I get a final answer? The Blackwing Full Armor Master is able to attack anything it wants to attack.
Yes, you can have your final answer.
All right, well, you are correct. The Blackwing Full Armor Master is able to attack any monster that it wants to, because that effect of Dupe Frog does indeed affect the monster. Because it is unaffected, it is able to declare an attack. This is actually due to the wording on Dupe Frog, as opposed to something like the wording on Mystic Mine. One of the examples you could have maybe gone for was Mystic Mine. I don't know if you've ever played with Mystic Mine Legal. Mystic Mine specifically reads, if I remember correctly off the top of my head, that the player who controls the most monsters cannot declare an attack, as opposed to this, who specifically says monsters your opponent controls cannot attack. So due to the wording on Dupe Frog, it does indeed affect the monster, and in this case, Armor Master is unaffected by that effect of Dupe Frog. Currently 3 for 3, absolutely killing it so far. We are almost halfway through the quiz, and you haven't missed one yet. So here you have a Swap Frog and a Ronin Totem in your hand. Very good setup. This is what you want to see when you're playing frogs, and your opponent has a very pesky Infinite Impermanence set. So the question here, you activate the effect, Swap Frog actually doesn't activate. You use the effect of Swap Frog to special summon it from your hand by discarding the Ronin Totem, and then you activate the effect and they chain Infinite Impermanence to make it so your Swap Frog isn't able to dump from the deck to the grave. You then use the effect of Swap Frog, paying its cost in order to bounce itself back to hand. You then normal summon the Swap Frog, activate the effect of Foolish. After this, are you allowed to activate the effect of Swap Frog to return itself to the hand again?
I am pretty sure the answer is yes, because you haven't actually gained the effect yet. Because it's still the first part, the first one is still negated. And I think there's like this is not like you can only use this effect. Like you have used Swap Frog before, but you haven't actually gained the extra normal summon, because you're not able to perform an additional normal summon here yet. I am pretty certain on this one.
Pretty certain on this one. So your final answer is that you are able to use the Swap Frog effect again in order to gain a normal summon?
Yeah.
Well, you are correct! 4 for 4. You are legally allowed to use the effect of Swap Frog once again, returning itself to the hand, because the first effect did not successfully resolve. You did not gain that additional normal summon, so because you never gained that additional normal summon, you are still allowed to use that effect of Swap Frog, bouncing itself to gain that additional normal summon. Currently 4 for 4, absolutely doing a great job. Absolutely killing it. Halfway through and not a single mistake committed yet. And we are currently going into question number 5. You are allowed 1 mistake for the people to gain their channel points, 2 mistakes, and they will not get them. How confident are you feeling that you can clutch out the rest of the test?
It's been like this one and the Raigeki break one have been rather easy. Two I had to like kind of guess on, but I was leaning into the right direction, so
that's good.
It's not been easy, but it's looking good. Yeah.
You are going to be normal summoning your Ash Blossom while you control Ronin Tonin and Skill Drain. The question here: are you then allowed to use your Ash Blossom and your Ronin Totem in order to synchro summon for an Armades, Keeper of Boundaries of your own?
No Megalol.
No Megalol. Very confident on this one. What is the reasoning for that one?
Ronin Totem is a condition, and conditions cannot be negated.
All right, so can I get a final answer?
Yes, final answer.
All right, you are correct. As you already know, that part of Ronin Totem's text is not actually treated as an effect. It is indeed a condition, which means that when you get negated by the skill drain, that part of Ronin Totem's text is not negated by skill drain. You are not allowed to synchro summon your Ash Blossom and your Ronin Totem in order to make the Armades. Let's see if you can clutch out the rest. You are allowed 1 mistake in the next 3 questions. Who knows, maybe you'll be our very first 8 out of 8. Here you control a Paleozoic Canadia. Very simple board state. Very, very simple. What is going to happen is that your opponent is going to flip up during your standby phase their set Book of Moon in order to book your Paleozoic Canadia. Of course they do. After this, because it is your turn, you are allowed to just simply flip summon that Canadia because it was previously summoned. So you flip summon the Canadia, move to the battle phase, and attack into your opponent's Shadal Dragon. After damage calculation, your opponent's Shadal Dragon will activate its flip effect, targeting your Paleozoic Canadia. How does this whole chain resolve on the Canadia with the effect of Shadal Dragon?
Yeah, so it should go to hand here.
Should go to hand? So you think that it being booked...
Like, it says, if summoned this way, right? So it definitely forgets that, right? Because it would be banished otherwise. And I know for a fact it doesn't get banished. So if summoned this way, certainly has been forgotten. So it's also not unaffected by monster effects anymore. And so it will return to your hand.
Can I get a final answer on that?
Unless Shadal Dragon says you can only target like effect monsters, but I'm pretty sure.
No, it just targets a card your opponent controls.
Yeah, then it will go to your hand.
You're absolutely killing it, bro. 6 for 6. The Shadal Dragon will affect the Canadia and will return it to the hand because it forgets all the restrictions that are placed on it by being summoned this way. So the fact that it's unaffected by monster effects and the fact that it's banished when it leaves the field are forgotten if the card is booked. Currently 6 for 6. You can miss one. You have to miss both for the doubters to get their points. The doubters are in shambles right now, bro. They're like, no, he has to mess up. These questions will get harder. Well, let's see if you can cross the next hurdle. Question number 7. Very simple. You control Paleozoic Olenoids. It doesn't get any simpler than this. Very, very simple. Your opponent is going to activate a card you've most likely never read in your entire life, but the effect is something that you will recognize. Your opponent will activate their Spiritual Entanglement from their hand. Effectively, what Spiritual Entanglement is Farfa. The question here, your Paleozoic Olenoids is banished via the effect of Spiritual Entanglement. After that, when you enter the end phase, where does the Paleozoic Olenoids end up?
It returns to your field, and then it's into the graveyard.
Okay, are you confident on this one? Can I get a final answer on that?
Final answer.
Final answer, Joshua Schmidt. Unfortunately, my friend, you are now 6 for 7. That is incorrect. The Paleozoic Olenoid that has its own restriction that says that it is banished if it leaves the field. Because of that, even if it is banished by a card effect that says that it would be banished until the end phase, when it actually gets banished by the Spiritual Entanglement, it actually ends up getting banished via its own effect as well, meaning that the Spiritual Entanglement does not return the Paleozoic Olenoids. So because it banishes itself, it doesn't see that extra, the additional part of Spiritual Entanglement that will return it. It simply gets banished and doesn't return because at the end of the day, it's banished via its own effect rather than the effect of Spiritual Entanglement.
See, so if you would have given me Book of Moon and Farfa, it would have been different.
Yeah, it would have been different.
Right?
If I gave you Book of Moon and Farfa, it would have been different because the Olenoids wouldn't have applied its own restriction to banish itself when it leaves the field. Unfortunately, 6 for 7. If you get this last one right, you tie up another one of your very high-ranked European players, Gabriel Susi, right at the top. He got 7 out of 8.
Nice.
He got 7 out of 8 with Salamangreat, which is his pet deck, and now you're out here with your pet deck. The last question is the one that will determine whether or not you're going to tie him up and whether or not the believers will get their points. So you control Dupe Frog and have a set Reckless Greed. Very, very simple. However, your opponent controls Majestic Star Dragon. The relevant effect on Majestic Star Dragon is during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can tribute this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy all cards your opponent controls. So the question here, you're going to activate your Reckless Greed, to which your opponent is going to chain Majestic Star Dragon. The question here is, after this chain resolves, are you allowed to activate the Grave effect of your Dupe Frog to search a frog from deck to hand?
Okay, so the question here is basically, does Dupe Frog miss timing when it was destroyed by Chainlink 2, but Chainlink 2 also negates Chainlink 1 at the same time? This is tough because it's also very, very, very much never come up to me, I think. I can't think of something that would negate something while also destroying a Dupe Frog.
That is what we were looking for with this question. We were looking for an interaction that probably never really came up for you.
Yeah, I don't actually know if a chain link that is negated is just like treated as being completely removed from the chain. Like it just never happened, which that is possible for that to be the case.
This question genuinely comes down to more game mechanic knowledge over simply knowing Paleos and Frogs. So this really pushes that to the next level of really needing to understand game mechanics in order to know whether or not it can or cannot activate. Are you feeling more towards one side or the other? What are you more leaning towards right now?
If I would have to guess right now without any further thinking, I would say it still misses timing because there's something there as Chainlink 1, right? That like, even if it like, I'm not sure if Chainlink 1 just completely disappears in the case of the activation being negated. On the other hand, activation being negated pretty much, it could also be like it just never happened, right?
Very possible.
Because it does negate activation, right? It doesn't just negate the card.
It does indeed negate the activation, yes.
Okay, yeah, then otherwise I would have known for sure, but...
Had to throw in a missing timing question. You gave me Dupe Frog. You gave me access to Dupe Frog. I had to throw in a question about missing timing.
I know,
no choice.
I know. Yeah. Honestly, I don't think I've ever encountered this.
Okay.
Because, like, it's been, like, probably 8 years since they printed a card that even misses timing.
To be fair, I'll probably give you an example after this, and you'll be like, yeah, I've 100% encountered that.
I think I'm just gonna say you can't search. I don't think there's any more point in wasting time because I don't really have any hints. I'm just gonna guess that negating the activation pretty much almost, like, from a game state perspective, removes the card from the chain, is what
So you're saying
say.
that it is legal to activate Dupe Frog, and Dupe Frog will be able to search?
Yes.
Can I get a final answer?
Maybe.
I need to hear the words final answer.
Yeah, final answer.
I'm going to give you the answer. The Dupe Frog is allowed to activate. You are allowed to search using the effect of your Dupe Frog for the exact reason that you outlined. When you negate the activation of a card or effect, that effect in the chain is effectively removed from the chain. The interaction that I was telling you that I was going to let you know that actually does come up is with 9 Pillars of the Yang Zing, the counter trap that destroys it, negates the activation of a card and then destroys a Yang Zing. In that situation,
what's the one that searches when he's destroyed?
It's well, they pretty much all float when they're destroyed, the Yang Zing monsters, but they all miss timing. So the thing with 9 Pillars is that if you activate 9 Pillars as Chainlink 2, you'll destroy your Yang Zing monster, and their card effect will have its activation negated, so it's effectively removed from the chain, and your Yang Zing monster is able to activate. So that's more the interaction that people will see, but I had to throw in some example with the frogs. But congratulations on 7 out of 8. The believers get their points, and you are tied up with Gabriel Susi and Swag Kage at 7 out of 8, right at the top. Just missing out on the 8 out of 8 with one little measly mistake. Congratulations on this really, really good score. You know your Paleo Frog rulings quite well. How did you feel about the test? Did you feel
You felt confident going in, and you felt like it was too easy, too hard. How did you like it?
It was challenging for sure. It was a couple of ones were easy just because I've come across them, but you did definitely manage to put some in there that I have not ever encountered before. But it was manageable. I was a little more afraid of like you putting some stuff in that I've just never seen before. A couple ones were close though. I got lucky on a couple ones. Like that last one is something I did not know for sure. Like I could have not given a definite answer.
So anyways, guys, to all those of you watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something new about paleo frogs. Big congratulations to Joshua Schmidt for absolutely killing it. He got an excellent score of 7 out of 8. We're still missing someone to get that 8 out of 8. One of these days, someone will get it, but not just yet. To all the YouTubers out there, Yu-Gi tubers, and professional Yu-Gi-Oh players that want to be on the show, hit me up on Twitter if you want to be on the show, and I'll gladly get you in for a spot. So anyways, guys, I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good one, guys. Peace!